Look at the ball flight, understand the ball flight laws, and then work back from there. At what point are you losing control of the club face? At what point are you losing control of your club path? My golf swing feels like absolute ass right now. And I came to the simulator, shout out Tony, to fix it. And I figured I'd throw in the camera to kind of give you guys a bit of a breakdown of what I do to, one, diagnose the issue in my swing, and two, fix it. So I'm gonna try to break it down in a digestible way so you guys can apply it to your own games, because I know we were probably all struggling out there, and I would love to play some better golf, but I know the tendencies of my swing, and I feel like I could give you guys some valuable information here. So the first thing I need to do is ask myself a couple questions when it comes to my game. The first being, what's my contact like? Am I hitting it in the middle of the face? Am I hitting it toey, hitting it heely? What's that like? Am I hitting it fat, hitting it thin? That's very important because contact is incredibly important. That could be the fix, right? If you just all of a sudden start hitting it in the middle of the face, you're gonna be hitting better shots. So it may be something as simple as that. The next question I need to ask is, what is my ball flight looking like when I hit it poorly? For me right now, I'm hitting a big left to right ball flight right now. I'm getting it's kind of like a weak, gross fade. And I know the solution to that, but for you need to ask yourself, because the ball flight will tell you so much of what you're doing in your golf swing. Now, one thing I would absolutely recommend getting educated on is the ball flight laws. And I'll put a little graphic right here to kind of give you something, kind of a visual representation of what it is. But essentially what it is, and you have to basically assume the club face determines the start line. It's roughly about 80%-ish, but we're just going to assume wherever the club face is pointing at impact, that's where the ball is going to start, okay? So that's the first thing you need to ask yourself, where's the ball starting? The second thing is basically the club path, which is the direction the club face is traveling through impact, is going to determine the curve, okay? So for instance, if you have a shot if you have the club face that's pointing straight and going straight, that's going to result in a straight shot. If you have the club face pointing this way, but it's going in an equal direction this way, it's going to be a pull or a push that way. There's going to be no curve. Same thing this way. Curve happens when the club face and the club path kind of like deviate, right? So if we're going to talk about a ball flight that's kind of like curving this way, let's say, club face is pointing straight, let's say, but the club path is going this way. That club path is going to determine the curve, the bend, okay? So if you can kind of understand the ball flight laws, if you see you have a big hook or a big slice, you know right away what you're doing at impact. And then you kind of work back from there, okay? I think that's a very important distinction. Look at the ball flight first, and then ask yourself, is it curving? Is it not curving? Depending on what the answer is, then you can kind of go from there. The next thing you need to ask yourself is, okay, let's say it's a club face issue. Let's say, you know, your ball's starting way left. All right, let's find out where in the swing we are closing the club face. Where is that happening? Okay? Now, one thing I need to actually let you guys know before I move on to my issues is when it comes to the ball flight laws, they do work with driver, but it is subject to something called gear effect. And I'm sure you've seen this before, but essentially with driver and fairway wood to a lesser extent, contact is so important. It doesn't really apply with the irons, but if you hit it super toey, let's say, at impact, it's going to push the club face open and the ball's going to shoot out that way. The exact opposite occurs if you hit it heely. It's going to close the face. Typically, if you hit it toey, you get that kind of like little push toe draw. Heel, you get the low heel cut, right? So if you make bad contact with driver, obviously the ball flight laws apply, but it could also be rooted in poor contact as well. So just understand that distinction. Okay, let's talk about my swing, my fix here, okay? Like I said, we're going to find the issue and work back, okay? So like I said at the beginning, I'm hitting weak fades. It's mostly with driver, but it's going to the right. So that tells me my club face is open at impact, right? That's how that ball kind of goes to the right, okay? And that's something I'm doing. So the one thing that I think is incredibly important, and it's something I tell a lot of people, is you should stick to the same drills over and over again. You shouldn't be constantly switching, because if you're someone who has, and ideally you're getting these drills from a golf professional, if you've found someone who has given you these drills to make your game better, just do them over and over again. Don't switch. Don't go to like this, do what your friend's doing. It's going to make things so complicated. And the nice thing is, if you're doing a lot of the same drills, your tendencies are going to stay the same. So it's just going to be a matter of fixing the same thing over and over again. As humans, we tend to get lazy and we start playing well, we start hitting good shots, and then we stop doing those drills because we're like, oh, why do we need to do them? We're hitting it great. And then all of a sudden a breakdown happens, and then all of a sudden you hit a couple bad shots, and then you get a little bit in your head, a bit like, you know, you're worrying about your swing, you get a bit mechanical, and then that's where the down, it's just a spiral down, okay? So for me, I've done the same set of drills a lot. So at this moment, I know the exact fix, but I'm gonna take you through it as kind of like an exercise here. So for me, I know my miss is to the right. And so I need to find out where in the basically golf swing I'm opening the club face, okay? And for me, I know my tendency, I go to the top of my swing, right? Which is here. And then what happens is, as I'm coming down, I stand up, and that opens the face. For instance, here, this is a square club face, okay? Let's say, look what happens to the club face when I stand up, right? It's now mega open. Now it's gonna be here, and now I'm at the mercy of just doing this, okay? So I know that's where I am losing control of my club face, is it is opening in the downswing because I am not rotating, I'm giving this kind of, it's called early extending, my pelvis is going towards here. Okay, and I'm also gonna be showing some old swings where there could be reasons as to why I'm doing that in my swing. Right now, honestly, I can see myself getting really on my toes. You can see my head is going towards the ball. So as it's coming towards the ball, I need to kind of stand up a little bit to kind of accommodate that. Where ideally, in a perfect world, is I keep everything nice and stable, nice and still, where I just kind of rotate here, everything's good, and then come down. Where now, unfortunately, I kind of dip in a little bit, that shoulder gets down. Obviously, I'm exaggerating. But then from here, I have to stand up, boom, and that's where those shots are going to go up to the right. Obviously, it's an exaggeration, but when you're swinging quite fast, small little things, if the club face is only open a couple degrees, it's a matter of missing the green, hitting the bunker, hitting the water, and that's going to cause some issues. So, the fix. Now, the nice thing, I've had pretty much one, I'm going to say I've had one real lesson in my life with Ryan Hawley, actually getting technical with my swing, and I go back on that lesson all the time. He sent a video, it's great, but I know the fix is here, right? So, for me, the first fix, obviously, let's try to make sure I'm standing up a little bit taller. Now, I'm just going to move this guy one sec. Okay, I hope the audio is okay there. It's just, I don't want it to get scratchy. But essentially, the first thing I'm going to do to get my swing in a better position is I'm going to avoid, getting on my toes, getting over the ball like this, right? So all I'm going to do when I'm swinging, I'm just going to feel like I'm standing taller, okay? Let's make a couple swings where I feel like I'm standing taller. Okay? So ball's going to go a little bit left. I can kind of feel that my hand's turning a little bit there. And that's honestly expected, because what happens is I'm capable of hitting good shots. My hands are very active in the golf swing. So if I'm doing something poorly, for instance, if this club face is open here, my hands have to close for me to get it to square, okay? If it's still with me. So when it's nice and square here, my hands can be still going a little bit this way, and that's why that ball went a little bit left. So now I'm gonna stand tall. I'm gonna keep my hands a little bit more passive, and let's see if that results in a straighter shot. All right, definitely a little bit straighter, which is good. A little bit of a slight draw, which is great. Perfect. So, very, very good there. Now it's just a matter of doing it a million times in a row. But that's just one small fix there. I still need to make sure I'm not doing this, because when I'm under the gun, when I'm under pressure in a tournament, I may not rotate. I may just, early extend. So that's gonna be the first thing I'm gonna do, is gonna make sure I stand tall throughout the shot. I'm not getting on my toes, so I don't have to do this. The golf swing, it's a lot about compensation. Our bodies are smart, our brains are smart, it knows what it takes to get the club face square at impact. So if you're doing something non-optimal, it's going to do something to try to like make up for it and get that club face as square as possible, whether that's turning your hands through, doing this. It just knows, right? If it didn't do it, you would be hitting block slices or snap hooks. So it's trying its best, but you're kind of almost fighting against your own body here. So ideally, I want to make my golf swing where I'm just at the top and I just feel like I'm turning. That's all I want. I just want up, down, okay? Something nice and simple. And a way I do that to try to get that feel of turning and not early extending is I do a bunch of half swings. I go to the top here, really feel like I'm pushing back this way, okay? So I'll go here, and I'm just gonna hit a million shots like this. And I wanna see very little curve. I don't want it to move very much. I just wanna hit some half swings. I'm just gonna go, about 160. They're gonna go maybe like 5-10 yards shorter. But I find doing half swings is super beneficial to me because it breaks into small bits, and I can really understand the feel. I need to keep that butt way back and not here. Because again, if I'm early extending, my pelvis is going towards the ball, my butt is going towards the ball. So if I feel like I'm staying back here, pushing this way, that is what's going to allow me to rotate. And doing these little half swings is going to make it so much easier. I'm going to really try to feel like I'm squeezing into the ground. It's good. Again, not a lot of curve, nice and straight. This is what I like to see. This is improvement for me. And the thing is, what a lot of people do, they'll hit a couple shots that are straight and good. They'll be like, I got it. But no, I'm going to need to do this so much because just knowing my tendencies, I'm going to slowly get back into it. This head is going to dip down. I don't like it. I want to stand tall and really just do this until essentially I can't get it wrong. Right? I just want to see that. I don't want it to curve. Just nice and straight over and over again. Just really, really good quality shots. And I really feel like my hands now don't have to rotate through because the club face is already in a better position, square to closed. And from there, I can just freely rotate, get the club nice and square, and then go. I don't have to rely on my hands, to square it up essentially. So I'm going to do one more. This one will do more of a fuller swing, but same feel. I really want to feel like standing tall, keeping that butt back, and really making sure this little triangle that's created there is staying back as long as I can, and then just following through. That's the feel. That felt nice. It might draw a little bit, I think. Yeah, it's a bit of a draw. I hit it quite well, to be honest. But that felt good. I'm fine if it does that. Honestly, my golf swing, if I'm hitting little draws, that means if it's starting on line and it's peeling, totally fine. I really like that. It's in a good spot. Where I'm not in a good spot is when it's, I'll try to do one here where it feels like it's a thin, clicky shot to the right. That, yeah. I exaggerated there, obviously, but it just feels like it's not even that bad. It's 10, 15 yards right. But again, I'm now in a spot where I have to get up and down, but I can feel that. I'm going to show like a side-by-side here of that butt staying way back in the good swing, and it's just coming way this way on the downswing. So that's kind of what I do. Again, from here, I will literally hit so many of these half shots. I'll put, honestly, my golf bag probably. I might do one, to be honest. Just have come on, stupid bag. Just have my golf bag here. And honestly, try to knock it over. I'll never be able to do it, but I'll just try to knock it over. Because if I can do that, that means my butt's coming back. Again, not a lot of curve. Love seeing that. I just want to feel that butt staying back and rotating hard. That's my issue. And again, that's pretty much my only issue in my golf swing, because I've been doing the same drills over and over again, right? If I were to constantly change and do these drills, do different drills, I could find myself being lost. Put this guy back. But yeah, I think when it comes to diagnosing your golf swing, you need to understand the ball flight laws. I think that's incredibly important. You really need to understand the ball flight laws, because it'll tell you exactly what you're doing. If you're someone that hits a pull cut, okay, you know you're swinging left across the line with an open club face. It's as simple as that. Okay, so I open club face and I'm swinging left. Okay, so that means I need to fix my club face. I need to get my club face more square, and I also need to get my club path going more square. Okay, so what you need to do is you need to tackle one of these at a time. You can't do both, okay? Focus on one thing at a time. It's so easy to get overwhelmed here, but look at the ball flight, understand the ball flight laws, and then work back from there. At what point are you losing control of the club face? At what point are you losing control of your club path? Because what a lot of people do, they just don't rotate. They just go to the top of the swing and they just do this. Or they, here, and then they drop it way down. That's a mega club path issue, right? It's gonna be very hard to hit a golf shot in that position. But my biggest thing is obviously go see a golf instructor. I think that's incredibly important, because self-diagnosing is something I wouldn't recommend, especially if you're someone who doesn't necessarily know what you're doing. I know what I'm doing. This is my swing. I teach a lot of golf lessons, so I know I can see something pretty quickly, even if it's in my swing, someone else's swing, and diagnose it right away, okay? If you don't have that knowledge, I wouldn't really undertake this endeavor. It can be tricky. You can almost find yourself more lost if you don't know what you're doing. But again, the key things here, ask yourself what your contact is like, because again, it may be simple of a fix. It may just be good contact, right? Ask yourself what the ball flight is, and then kind of go back, work your way back from there. If you're someone that maybe you're just hitting big cuts, look at your grip, right? You may have like a super, super weak grip. Strengthen the grip, right? There's so many things you could do to fix the club face, to fix the club path, but it's almost always, pretty well always is, a combination of one of those two things. Okay? So this is something that is very important. It's very tricky, but if you're someone who knows and understands your golf swing, you can fix it very easily if you're doing the same thing over and over again. It becomes tricky when you're going and jumping back from drill to drill to drill, because then at that point your swing is constantly changing. Pick the same couple drills, do them religiously, and trust me, if you want to be #consistent, which is every single person I ask before a lesson, what are you hoping to get out of this? They all ask, I want to be more consistent. I want more consistency. Do the same things. It's boring, it's mundane, but it is going to make you better, okay? Understand the ball flight laws, and then work back from there. Club face, club path. That is the ticket to improving your golf swing. But if you found this helpful, let me know in the comments below. If you're still here, I really appreciate you watching and listening. Let me know what is going on in your golf swing, and I will reply, and I will try to give you a fix. And if it's something I can't fix off the get-go just based on what you're saying, I'll get you to send me a golf swing on Instagram, and I will give you a nice little kind of online assessment there. So if that's something you're into, do that. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And don't make it overcomplicated. Just keep it simple. Go from there. All right. Cheers, guys.